Hello, welcome back to Yoga with Paige. I just wanted to give you a quick little introduction to this new type of video that we are having today. We have a special guest. This is going to be a podcast type video where we discuss our thoughts on the differences between discipline and motivation. So this is just a little chat to kind of open the discussion on these topics, how we can find more motivation for ourselves or use discipline motivation to our advantage, when to use one over the other, what they mean, how they differ, how they are similar, and kind of how to work with yourself. So I am very, very excited for this type of video. I have never done a little podcast before, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this type of video and on the subject matter. So let's head into it.
Well, yeah, because I think a lot of people kind of use them either interchangeably or in like the wrong scenario, or they think about them differently.
I would agree people use them, and I did this for a long time. I would agree
Yep.
people use discipline and motivation in the wrong context. So, I think there have been a lot of books, and especially that I've read, of like the 10 most effective ways motivated people live their life, or it had to do with a lot of motivation in my personal perspective. And I think in the last year or so, it hasn't taken a long time, I've realized that motivation and discipline are two completely separate things,
Yeah.
two completely different ideas. And I think it kind of gets you a little bit when you have days where you're not motivated and you're not doing a bunch of stuff and you're not understanding why you're not motivated. Am I not an effective person?
Right. Well, because hear me out. Okay, so as I've been trying to kind of differentiate these and figure myself out and like how I work, I think so far motivation is more emotion based. It's how you're feeling, how your energy, your mood, blah blah blah. Like that's what it kind of pertains to more. And then discipline is the opposite. It's more like the logic side, like taking emotions out of the equation. I don't care how I'm feeling right now. I don't care what I want to do. Discipline is like what I should be doing, and looking at it like without emotions, looking at it with logic, as in like what should I be doing to get to my end goal without emotions. Like I don't care how I feel about it.
I would agree with you. And this is what I've realized. I feel like this is really kind of what I've honed in on, right? Is motivation is mood based. It could be, I went out, let's just say I go out drinking today, it's a Super Bowl party. Tomorrow I go to bed late, I had too much to drink, I ate like crap. Tomorrow I wake up, I don't have motivation to get up. I don't have motivation to go to the gym. I don't have motivation to go to work, be productive, right? I'm tired, I have a hangover, I want to lay in bed all day. And the confusion with discipline is you're thinking, or motivation, I mean. The confusion is you think, I should always be motivated, but you're not always going to be motivated.
Yeah.
You're just a
Like
person.
especially if you have like a serious like long-term goal, like if you have one goal, like say to, become more active and lose weight. So you know that you need to go to the gym, work out, eat healthy consistently, but sometimes your motivation to do those things won't be there, and that's where the discipline has to kind of catch you up and like be your.
It has to override it.
Yes, exactly. It
Yeah.
has to override your motivation and your feelings about it, because you're not going to want to go to the gym every day, especially like in that situation. But that's where the discipline is supposed to kind of like piggyback you there and really just keep you on track.
Well, that's
So I think
hard.
discipline is way more important than motivation.
I would say, though, discipline is not something, it's something that you have to work on. It's not just
Yeah.
something you have. So when it comes to discipline, it's almost starting small. And I've
It's a
noticed that, if I don't do something, like let's say I need to go fix something in the garage, or I want to go to the gym, but I don't have the motivation to do it. So I get that instant gratification. If I sit on the couch, I relax, I cave into, how I'm feeling, my laziness. That moment, I'm happy because I'm able to relax and I feel better. But over time, the things that I'm not doing build up in my head. I become more anxious. And there's really no gratitude. I actually almost lose a sense of accomplishment and who I am
Yeah.
because I'm not getting things done. You know, it's like there
You're
has
not
to be
doing
a
what you said
purpose.
you would do.
Yeah, you have to have a purpose in life to feel good about yourself, right? So, an example is yesterday, I had no motivation. I was very tired. I didn't get a good night's sleep the night before, and I had to do a bunch of stuff. I had to retile the shower floor. I had to change the oil in the truck. There was a couple things I had to do around the house, but I didn't feel like doing it. And it took the discipline to say, okay, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but you know what? I'm gonna muscle it up and gumption it up, and I'm gonna do the bathroom. And then after I did the bathroom, I said, okay, now I'm gonna do the truck. And after I did the truck, I said, I'm gonna do the house stuff.
When you're done with this, I have a question for you.
And then at the end, absolutely, at the end of it, although I didn't feel like doing it, and it was a pain in the butt, once I sat down, and it didn't really take that long, right? I was done by like 2 in the afternoon. Not only did I enjoy that time I sat down, which, I would have enjoyed it half that much if I didn't do everything and just sat down. I felt so good about myself, the day, and all the things I had on my mind that I was worried about, they were gone. So it made that relaxing time 1,000 times better. And
Yeah, because you deserve it.
it gave me, yeah, and it gave me like the positive reinforcement to say, you know what, the 10 things I have to do tomorrow now, I'm gonna get them out of the way. I'm gonna get up and do them because I feel that much better about myself. I feel like I have a purpose, and it really helps my emotions, helps the way I feel. I feel like proud and like I'm actually
Yeah.
accomplishing something.
Yeah, because it's that momentum of like doing one thing, or doing it for a day, disciplining yourself for a day. It becomes easier to do it the next day. It's a practice, just like anything else. And my question for you was, because I find this daily. If I sit there and think about how much I don't want to do something, or oh man, this is gonna suck, or how long it's gonna take, whatever. I build it up. The anticipation in my mind is almost the worst part about it. But if I can just get myself to just start, like the quicker I start and don't think about it, the easier it is, and just to keep going. Like my question for you was, once you started that one thing, did you say it was the shower first?
I actually, yeah.
So once you did that, yeah, so once you started that one thing, like how much easier was it to just keep going and like do the rest of it?
It
It's
was,
like you just
yeah.
need to start sometimes.
Yes, and I totally understand that. So, there's two parts to that question. The first part is I notice if I put stuff off long enough, I have a big long list of items to do, and then not only do I not want to do them, I become really overwhelmed. So then I think, oh man, I have 20 things to do. I have to work on the Jeep, the truck, the house needs to be done, the backyard needs to be clean, the shower needs to be done. So then I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know where to start. It makes it more overwhelming, and that makes me want to do less.
Right.
So in my mind, it's just starting somewhere. Even if I say I'm going to do one thing
Yep.
today and make it happen, it's saying, I basically put this thing in my head where I say, there's no choice. You're going to get up, you're going to go do this, and even if it's this one thing, I'm going to go do this one thing, and then when I'm done, that's one thing off my list. And then tomorrow, it's the same step. Okay, tomorrow it's going to be job B. I'm going to get up, I'm going to go do this, boom, that's off my list. And then eventually you start seeing these things, decrease, and you're realizing, hey, this isn't as bad, and maybe the next day you'll do 2 or 3 things.
Right.
And then that overwhelming feeling kind of goes away. But it's something you have to start with small, right? So discipline is like,
I
hey,
agree.
I'm going to have a goal where I'm going to do something every day. And some days it might be great and I might love it. Some days I love going to the gym. Other days I'm tired and I'm like, I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't want to do 45 minutes of cardio and then work out for 45 minutes. That sounds awful. So, my motivation's there some days where I'm up and I'm ready and I'm excited, and other days I'm just like, I don't want to do anything. But, getting there is
It's
the
half the
hardest-
battle,
yeah,
really, I think.
that's the discipline. That's
Especially for the
hardest part to
gym. Like
find.
the second I walk in there, I feel like I'm already more like, okay, I'm here, I'm ready to go. Especially like even when we're talking about yoga, sometimes the hardest part is literally just getting on your mat, which is why I leave mine out. in my room upstairs. And sometimes, like, if you just step on the mat and just sit there for a minute, I guarantee 9 times out of 10, you'll end up having like this longer practice that you never even thought you wanted to do because you just needed that first initial step. Same thing with the gym. Like sometimes I do not want to go at all. And then when I walk in and just getting there, I'll have like the best workout I've had in weeks because I just needed to get there, you know?
100%. And I think another thing that, and I'm going to almost kind of dovetail this really quick into how I think, not being disciplined and not, so here's the thing, you need to have you need to have things that you do, right? You have to have a purpose in life. So there are things that you do, like obviously working, and hopefully you like your job, so that purpose is a little bit nicer, and taking care of your family, and you have to have a purpose in life. And I think when you procrastinate and you put things off and you don't have the discipline to get these things done, and you don't have that sense of purpose and accomplishment, I think what happens is that's when a lot of times I find myself turning to having a drink, or doing something that I wouldn't normally do as much, just to kind of calm down my anxiety, my nerves, because I don't feel accomplished. I don't feel like my purpose is being met. I don't feel productive. So then I want to counterbalance that
from those feelings
with something that makes me feel good, that's really in the long run going to end up making me feel
counterproductive
like shit.
in the long run.
Of course, yeah, both. Like it's going to make me feel like shit and be less productive. So it's almost like a rolling snowball effect where it just gets worse and worse and worse. But I do have this rule, and I do say this one thing where it's like, let's just say you're on a diet, for example, you're eating healthy, and today you go off the rails. You've been eating healthy for 4 or 5 days, you go off the rails and you eat a burger and you have some beers. The goal is to get back on the horse. Don't say, okay, well, it's Wednesday, and I'm going to wait till Monday of next week, and then I'm going to try it again. Don't do that. Just, it's my next meal, I'm going to eat healthy. I might feel like crap and want to continue to eat like this, or I didn't do something around the house, so I want to continue to not do stuff. Just say, the next hour, the next day, make it as soon as possible. The next chance I get, I'm going to do that productive thing.
Yeah, there's no point in waiting until tomorrow or waiting until, like, just do it now. Like that is the discipline in effect, not taking the feelings into effect. Like, I don't care. I don't want to do it right now. I want to wait until tomorrow and enjoy the rest of my day. No, just start like right now. And sometimes I wonder, okay, because you were talking about family and kids, and I find this interesting in regards to discipline, because watching myself not have kids, but watching other people have kids, I feel like, and obviously I don't know the flip side of the coin, what having kids is like, but from my perspective, I watch these people and I feel like there is such a routine or a structure that there's like some semblance of discipline because they need to do it for their kids. Even if they're not disciplining themselves, they're doing some sort of discipline because they need to make sure they get their kids' uniforms clean in time for the game, or, to school, make sure they have their homework done. So there is a little bit of discipline there, maybe. And I feel like sometimes it's almost a little hard to like discipline myself when I don't have anything else, like anybody else that I really, really need to like care for or make sure that I am in tip-top shape for. Like, it's just me. Like, if I'm kind of messing up over here, oh well, I'm not like really hurt. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you bring up a good point,
right?
And I totally understand. And this is why working from home has become such a mental health problem. And this is exactly what it is. The point you just brought up is, when you have to drive into the office and you have things to do, you're not going to say, well, I can wake up at 8, 9, 10 in the morning because there's nowhere I have to drive to. I can dilly-dally. I can look on my phone. If you do that, you're going to get fired. So it motivates you to get up. You have that purpose to get up. And it's the same with kids. You can't say, well, little Charlie, you're not going to go to school this week because I'm not motivated. I mean, of course you could do that, but, so it definitely creates, going into the office, having kids, having a significant other, having pets, definitely motivates you to be more disciplined, because the days that you don't want to do it, you still have to. You still have
Right.
to feed your kids. You still have to, do their homework, give them a bath, take them to their sporting events, whether you're tired or not. And let's be honest, it's a nonstop, continual thing. Kids take a lot of energy, and I'm sure parents are tired all of the time. But they don't have that choice. Parents have to be disciplined. They have to get their kids to school. Then they have to go to work. So I think the whole, and this is the hardest part is, when you work from home and you have your own schedule or you own your own business, and I think people who own their own business don't get enough credit for this, because they have to manage their own time. They have to be the most disciplined out of everybody out there, because they don't have a boss saying, hey, if you don't come to work today, you're fired. They are their own boss. They're saying, hey, I don't feel like going to work. I don't have to go to work. So the people who own their own business and don't have kids and are starting out and doing their own thing, that is the most crucial phase, and that they need the most discipline to be able to make it and actually do well in life. So that is the hardest lifestyle, is actually having that freedom. Because
I've been struggling with that very, very
it makes
hard.
it very easy to do what you want and not be disciplined,
Yeah. And then, of course, I can rationalize it. I'm like, oh, well, I'm just trying to find balance. Like, hey, I've been working X amount of days. I can give myself this. But then the day stretches into 2 days, and it just, I don't know, it tumbles. It snowballs. And, obviously you need a little rest time. You need a little R&R. But I don't know, for me at least, I feel like it should be limited to a few hours. Or, hey, you work for a few hours, and then you can have a few hours at night to rest. But then you're right back at it tomorrow during the day. Because I feel like sometimes if I take a day or two off, even if I think I really need it, it's really, really hard to get back on the train. It's almost like I need to keep some semblance of discipline and structure even on those days where I'm not doing as much work or on my rest days, because it's just harder for me to then keep up the habit, if that makes sense.
That's why I think the epitome of discipline too is a routine. Right? So
Yeah.
if you have a routine and you're disciplined enough to stick to that routine, you could say, I have to be up every day by 7 a.m. I have to be to the gym by 8 a.m. I need to be home by 10 a.m. I have to have 5 videos made or this work stuff done by this time. Then from 6 to 7, I get to relax for an hour. Or I keep going, and from 8 o'clock on is my relaxed time. And then guess what? Saturdays are my free days. That's the day I can do anything I want. Then Sunday I need to meal prep, do X, Y, and Z. That routine is what you need, so that you don't have one rest day into 2, into 3, into 4, and then you need the discipline to stick to that routine.
Right.
That way you always know what you should be.
Bored. What? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that's a good kind of reward system to have. Not like, because I started falling into the trap of after working, almost every day. Granted, I would take, a day or two off in the weekend, but working a lot, working 2 jobs, and I will reward myself with a drink. But through this conversation especially, and throughout just watching myself grow and trying to do something and feel better about myself, like this conversation, the reward I don't think should be as much of like a physical, tangible drink or anything like that. Like just rewarding yourself by feeling good and having time to sit with those feelings. Like, so if you got a certain amount of stuff done, then your reward is being able to truly, fully relax for 2 hours at night, but feeling good about yourself. And that's kind of enough of a reward sometimes.
Yeah,
and it kind of
I heard you're now it looks like 22 days sober. Congratulations on that one.
Thank you.
I agree with you though too. I think, in my mind, when you stick to a routine and you get things done and you feel accomplished and you start to see the routine, you start to see over time the benefits to actually sticking to your routine and being disciplined enough to getting these things done, whether that's building a business, whether that's getting physically fit, getting healthier, working on relationships. Everything is consistency, right? So, when I go to the gym, the only way I look better and I feel better, it's not by doing it just 1 week and then dropping off for a month. It's doing it for a year straight. It's doing it every single day, consistently, as much as I can. And then what
And knowing that
happens?
those results come later.
Yes,
They're not instantaneous.
that's huge. And that's a big part of being disciplined too, is you could do something for a couple months and you could feel like, hey, I'm not seeing the results yet. This is really bringing me down. I just want to give up on the whole thing. But
Frustrating.
that's where discipline comes in. It says, you know what? No, consistency is the key. My goal was to do it for one straight year. I'm only 3 months into it, and the results really will come with consistency. And I think that has been the hardest part in my life that I've learned is if I'm consistent with anything I do, whether it be diet, gym, work, really anything, relationships, building my own self, I eventually see the results. Now, it might take longer sometimes than I think it's going to, but if I stick with it, I do see results. And that has been something that I think has really helped me a lot to stick with other things that I might have eventually given up on.
Right. And then also knowing that everyone's timeline is different, because it can be very easy, especially in some of these examples like the gym and diet and things, because everyone is different. Our bodies are different.
100%.
So it can take a different amounts of time. So it is, I think another thing with discipline is really kind of like thinking in a more selfish way, to be honest, like not looking at other people, seeing their progress or their journey, how long it took them, but really focusing so much on yourself that you're not focusing on other people, how they did it, what they did, like how long it took, but really just doing it for yourself and knowing that it may take longer, it may take a shorter amount of time, but that's okay because it's your own process and your own way of figuring it out for yourself. Because the comparison thing, especially with social media, I feel like is very, sometimes can get in your head and can cause a struggle with discipline, because you're like, oh, well, I've been trying this for a month and that's how long it took them and I'm not seeing anything, so I quit,
Yeah, everyone's journey is different. That's a very difficult one to pass, right? Is comparing. You can't compare. Everyone's journey is different. There's a reason why, you might take 3 or 4 months. You might have to learn lessons, and you don't know someone's background. You don't know if you don't know if somebody had help. You don't know if somebody had funding. You don't know if they had a professional photographer. They might have already done this 5 times with another channel, and you don't know it. And now they've figured it out after 3 or 4 years, and this new channel is going to do great. So that's a big mistake, is comparing yourself. It's really focusing on how can I get better? Let me not compare myself, and I will get there. That's a difficult one. That's almost like an envy, like a green-eyed monster type of thing, And I think that's really ego, of like letting that ego go. Even if they were better and got there quicker, that's fine. It might take me a little bit more time to figure it out.
And that's okay.
And that's
Perfectly.
okay. You're still going to get there. You'll still feel good about yourself when you do figure it out. But that's a very hard one to work through. And I think you have to be very self-aware in order to do that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Many facets to discipline. Many struggles with this concept. I find it very interesting that the difference between discipline and motivation. And I kind of find it interesting that I'm just now sort of learning the difference. I went to school for psychology. I actually literally had an entire class for a semester on motivation and the differences of intrinsic, extrinsic, like what, struggles and how it helps you in your life and how it kind of molds everything else. And it's kind of wild to me that, like we were just saying, it takes time. Things take time. I am 27 and I'm just now, I feel like, starting to figure out a little bit about how to do this like life thing.
Well, and that makes sense. Listen, it took me a long time to figure it out too. And I'm always learning. You should always be figuring it out and always learning based on yourself.
You will never have it fully down.
When you talk about motivation, here's the problem with motivation. Intrinsic and extrinsic or external motivation is, you can internally not be motivated today, tomorrow, the next day, but be motivated the day after. So you can't rely on motivation. No. And then external motivation, here's the worst part about that. It sounds great, but I mean, you think when you have a significant other, right? A wife or a husband or a significant other, you have kids, and let's say you're trying to eat healthy and lose weight and go to the gym. Well, hey, that external motivation that you're supposed to be getting, you're not only not going to get that, right? Let's say your significant other is already thin and they don't need that. So they're eating pancakes and waffles in the morning, and your kids, right? They're not going to be eating egg whites with a little bit of chicken in them. So they're eating Cocoa Puffs, and here you are. So now not only do you not have the motivation, you have that temptation sitting right in front of you. I mean, and that happens just so often with a significant other, whether it be quitting smoking, eating healthier, just anything, you reading books more. And you're sitting here reading a book, and maybe your significant other is watching a great show and you'd like to do the same thing. So you can't rely on that external motivation of someone saying, hey, get up and do it. You have to be disciplined enough to say it has to come from within.
Yeah.
And
you have to find your why.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
like,
I'm going to do this
for myself, because I know like finding your why is a big thing, and I feel like I've been seeing this a lot lately as well. But and there could be a lot of different whys. Like, there could be multiple reasons why you want to start going to the gym or being more active or whatever the situation is. But I think finding your one biggest motivator that will make you feel better about yourself is almost the best why, because I do remember this from my motivation class. It is intrinsic motivation all the way. Extrinsic, they've done studies. Intrinsic motivation is really not the only way, I guess I shouldn't generalize like that, but it is the best way to reach your desired outcome and find and keep up with discipline to reach that point, is knowing like your real reason why, like why you want to feel better, why. So it comes from inside. Nobody else can tell you that. Nobody can make you change your behavior or do anything. You have to want to do it for yourself.
So now I have a question for you, and I think this would be interesting for me, because I've realized this and I've figured out the ways that I do better. When I have a goal, I realize, and a lot of times I used to do this where I'd have a goal and I'd try to bandwagon with somebody else to complete that goal, and so many times it just didn't work out. Whether they would fall off the bandwagon and it would make it so easy for me to do it. So I've realized a lot of times when I want to accomplish something, it's all on me. It's no one else's fault but my own if I don't do it. So now that you're realizing this, are you going to, because I'd love to see, your next podcast or your next video of how are you now taking the days when you don't feel motivated to go to the gym or make videos or, do whatever it is you're trying to do. What habits are you changing in order to, actually get the discipline to make this happen? So, I mean, I would love to know that over your journey of, I don't know how long it will take you to do this. I'm guessing it's a consistent journey where you'll have days where you drop off and days where you do great. But I'd love to know what's helping, what you're doing, and, the things that maybe you're modifying in your life in order to, get the things done you need to get done to feel good about yourself and feel accomplished. And maybe a few video blogs or little small podcasts to know that would be great. So it helps.
That was good. I think that would help me as well, especially with the sobriety 30-day vlog that I was kind of doing. It helped me with accountability. It helped me when I needed, support. Everyone, the community was so supportive and so amazing with that. It really, really helped me keep going and keep on with that discipline and bringing up more motivation. Also, it's such a great way to kind of track your progress. Like some of these things I don't think I would have realized so quickly or so in depth if I hadn't been talking it out loud and communicating it with others, because there's only so much I think you can do in your head. There's only so much thinking, so much planning and figuring out you can do in your head. We are humans. We are meant to connect and talk through things and be with people. And I think the social aspect of this is really helping with the sobriety. And yes, I think that's a very, very good, I would love to do that. That actually excites me and makes me want to really, really hone in on my self-discipline, because that is something that I have been struggling with for years. But it is now kind of getting to that point where I see if I could really just really go at it and make myself consistent with things, that I could do so much more. And it's getting to that point where I'm a little almost like frustrated with myself because I know I'm not reaching my full potential. So that would be really fun and interesting to do, and show you again just the real, authentic highs and lows, all of the struggles and challenges, the days I'm feeling good, not feeling good. I
What
think
I
that would be
think,
great.
and I think what I'd like to see too is I notice a lot of people will do videos about motivation and here's what I do and here's how I feel. But what I never see people do is I want to see a video, of you at 8 in the morning where you don't feel like going and working out for an hour and a half. And how do you motivate yourself how do you discipline yourself to say, hey, okay, it's go time. Let me get there. Let me get this done. Let me make it happen. And then maybe just like a little discussion about it after of like, here's what I thought, here's what I did. Because that's
Yeah.
where people get stuck. That's where they struggle of, oh man, I'm really hungry and I want to eat a donut right now. Where's that discipline? Do I just say, you could have one and wait 30 minutes and see if that passes? Do I say, let's go for a jog instead? Like,
Right, the
what
little
are some of
tips
the
and
things,
tricks.
yeah, that you're doing to help yourself? And I think that would be great to see for the future. And, it might give me other creative ideas as well, because I'm always learning and trying to figure out new things about myself as time passes.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Cool
I think
beans.
that'll be great. That should help me as well.
Well, I appreciate you having me on and talking about the differences of
Yes,
motivation
we didn't even introduce. Do you want
and
to introduce
discipline.
yourself at the end here?
Yeah, I'm Joe Belletto. I like long walks on the beach, candlelit dinners. Yeah, no, I just
And do you have
I do a small
yeah,
podcast on the side, just kind of a little bit about everything. It's called ADHD Bros Videos, and just like talking about real life scenarios, kind of getting more into the nitty gritty stuff that people
don't really talk.
overlook. Yeah, I like to really, because it's nice to hear an overview about people who got fit or went to the gym or lost weight, but how do they deal with or quit smoking or whatever it may be? How do you deal with the struggles and what's the
Yeah.
real life? Cut the bullshit. Tell me how you feel, and I want to know how you got through this tough time, because they just make it seem so easy. So the podcast
Yeah.
is just a more realistic view and podcast on everyday situations, whether it be work or
That's great.
etc. So yeah, I
That's
appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much. And
You, it's my first podcast.
hey, no problem. I look forward to seeing your next
You're on.
videos.
You as well. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Bye, Paige.